One of the first and most telling signs that a woman likes you is that her attention becomes intentional, not accidental. And this isn't about grand romantic gestures or obvious declarations. It's subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye. But when you start to understand how feminine energy operates, you'll see it clearly. When a woman is interested, she doesn't just notice you, she focuses on you. And not in a needy or obsessive way, but in a way that feels deliberate. Attention, in its rawest form, is energy. Where a woman places her attention is where she places her value. If you start noticing that she remembers things you barely recall saying, picks up on small changes in your mood, or references something you said days ago, you're no longer just background noise in her world. You've become a point of interest. And that shift is never accidental. It's an emotional investment happening beneath the surface. Think about it. We live in a distracted world. Everyone is glued to their phones, consumed by notifications, half listening to conversations while scrolling through feeds. So when someone stops, tunes in, and gives you their full attention, that's rare. That's meaningful. And when a woman starts doing that consistently, it's a sign that you're taking up space in her emotional awareness. But it goes even deeper. Her attention won't just be verbal. You'll feel it in her body language, in the way she looks at you when she doesn't think you notice, in how she positions herself near you in group settings, how she tunes into your voice in a noisy room. All of these cues are quiet invitations, subtle signals that say, I see you, I'm curious, I want to know more. Now here's where it gets interesting. This kind of attention often comes wrapped in softness. It's not aggressive, it doesn't demand, instead it invites. And that's the beauty of feminine interest. It approaches you in a way that feels effortless, but only when you're emotionally aware enough to catch it. If you're distracted, constantly chasing, or too eager to impress, you'll miss it. You'll overlook the very signals that are drawing you closer to the connection you want. That's why emotional presence is so important. When you're grounded, when you're not trying to get her, but simply observing and receiving, you begin to feel her energy gravitating toward you. You become the stillness she leans into. And from that place, you stop chasing validation and start attracting something far more valuable: authentic feminine attention. So if you're wondering whether a woman likes you, stop focusing on what she says and start noticing what she notices. Is her attention casual or is it deliberate? Is she scattered or is she tuned in? Because when a woman starts to place her attention on you in a focused, intentional way, she's telling you, without a word, that you've captured something deeper than interest. You've captured her curiosity. And that's where real connection begins. Pay attention to her attention. It's where her desire first speaks. One of the most fascinating psychological cues that a woman likes you is something she rarely even notices herself: mirroring. It's subtle, unconscious, and deeply rooted in human connection. When a woman begins to mirror your energy, your movements, your tone of voice, even your texting rhythm, she's not trying to flatter you or play a role. Her subconscious is simply aligning with yours. That's not by accident. That's biology and emotion intertwining. You see, mirroring is one of the most primal ways humans create rapport. It begins in infancy, when a baby copies a parent's smile, voice tone, or expressions. It's a form of bonding. And in adulthood, we still do it, but only with people we feel emotionally attuned to. So when a woman begins reflecting your energy, it means something important. She's tuned into you, not just out of politeness, but because she feels safe doing so. And the beauty of this behavior is in its subtlety. She might not say she likes you. She might not even realize she's drawn to you yet. But her energy tells the story. When you lean back, she does too. When you start smiling more, she matches that warmth. If you speak in a calm, confident tone, she softens hers to meet yours. Even in digital spaces, texts, voice notes, messages, she begins to reflect your rhythm. If you're brief and focused, she becomes more concise. If you open up emotionally, she begins to mirror that vulnerability. It's not scripted, it's emotional synchronization. Now, why does this matter? Because attraction, especially feminine attraction, isn't built on performance, it's built on resonance. When a woman starts reflecting your essence, it's her way of syncing with your frequency. Her subconscious is saying, I feel something here. I feel connected. I want more. And that moment is powerful because it reveals desire without her having to say a single word. But here's the deeper layer most men miss. She can only mirror what you consistently present. If your energy is chaotic, anxious, or needy, she'll reflect that too, often by withdrawing or sending mixed signals. But if you're centered, calm, and emotionally grounded, she feels secure enough to open up, to lean in, and to reflect the stability you bring. So her mirroring isn't just about her liking you, it's also feedback on what kind of emotional environment you've created for her. This is why you must remain aware, not reactive. Don't rush to interpret every gesture, but observe her energy. Watch how it starts to echo yours. That echo is intimacy forming. Not the loud kind, but the kind that grows in silence, in small gestures, in timing that feels natural instead of forced. So the next time you're wondering where you stand with a woman, don't just listen to what she says. Watch how she responds. Notice how her body, her tone, even her pauses start to reflect your presence. Because when she begins to mirror you, she's not just reacting, she's connecting. And in that mirror, if you're paying attention, you'll see something priceless. Her desire, rising in rhythm with your energy. One of the most revealing signs that a woman likes you, perhaps more than words ever could, is how she slowly begins to let her guard down. And this rarely happens all at once. In fact, it almost never does. Women are deeply intuitive about emotional safety. So when she begins to open up, even in the smallest of ways, it's not random, it's layered, it's careful, but it's deliberate. You see, vulnerability is not her default mode. For many women, even the strong, confident ones, emotional openness is earned, not offered freely. Because whether she's been hurt, misunderstood, or simply navigating a world that often expects her to be both soft and unbreakable at the same time, letting someone in is an emotional risk. So when she starts pulling back the curtain, even just slightly, it means something deeper is taking root. At first, it may come through casually. She might make a self-deprecating joke that carries truth, or mention something from her past in passing. She may start telling you about the things that scare her, what keeps her up at night, or the dreams she doesn't usually share with anyone else. These aren't just stories, these are signals. She's testing the emotional waters. She's watching how you receive her truth. And that's where most men either deepen the bond or break it, because it's not about rushing in to fix or solve. It's not about trying to impress her with your own story in return. It's about holding space, listening without judgment, responding with calm assurance. She's not asking for a solution. She's inviting you into her inner world to see if you can handle the weight of her authenticity. The moment she feels safe, she begins to relax. And in that relaxed state, you'll see a different version of her. The guarded humor becomes real laughter. The curated responses soften into emotional honesty. She'll start letting you see what's underneath the surface, the fears, the hopes, the contradictions. And the more she does that, the clearer it becomes she likes you. Not just for how you look or what you say, but for how you make her feel when she's being real. But here's the key. These emotional windows are fragile. If you interrupt them, rush them, or try to turn them into a performance, she will retreat. Not because she doesn't care, but because women protect what they value. Her openness is a gift, a quiet, powerful gift. And if you're present enough to see it, you'll recognize it for what it truly is, intimacy being born, not through grand gestures, but through quiet courage. So pay attention to the layers she reveals. They aren't random, they're intentional. When a woman begins to show you her deeper self, even in fragments, understand this. She's not just talking, she's trusting. And trust, once given, is where love begins to grow. Protect it, don't demand it, and it will unfold in ways that even words can't fully explain. One of the signs that often goes unnoticed, but speaks volumes when it comes to understanding a woman's feelings, is subtle jealousy. It's not loud, it's not possessive, and it's certainly not the type of jealousy that sparks drama. Instead, it's quiet, strategic, and emotionally revealing. When a woman truly likes you, but hasn't yet voiced it, her jealousy won't show up in accusations. It will show up in her reactions. Every She might tease you about another woman you mentioned casually. She may ask questions that seem harmless on the surface, like, "So, who was that texting you earlier?" Or she might change her tone ever so slightly when you talk about spending time with another female friend. This shift is not always meant to challenge you. It's often meant to test her own place in your emotional hierarchy. Jealousy in this form is not about insecurity. It's about emotional investment. It means she's not indifferent. She's watching, she's analyzing, and while she may not have confessed her feelings, her subconscious is already protecting a bond she hasn't yet labeled. That's where it gets psychologically interesting, because the moment a woman starts to feel emotionally connected to you, even if she doesn't act on it, she begins to observe your interactions with others more critically, not because she wants to control you, but because her emotions are already involved. This subtle form of jealousy can also be playful. She might joke, but her eyes are scanning. She might say she's not worried, but her follow-up questions tell another story. And if she suddenly becomes more present, more responsive, or even more flirtatious after sensing competition, it's not coincidence. That's her feminine instinct kicking in. That's desire sharpening itself through contrast. Now here's the part most men miss. This jealousy isn't meant to be exploited. It's not a cue to play games or stir insecurity. It's a mirror. It shows you just how emotionally invested she is, sometimes before she even realizes it herself. But it requires emotional intelligence on your part, because if you react with ego, flaunting other women or seeking validation, you break the trust she's trying to build. But if you respond with calm assurance and quiet clarity, never needing to over-explain, you reinforce her unspoken hope that she can trust your emotional frame. Jealousy, when subtle, is often a woman's way of revealing vulnerability through curiosity. She's not asking for control, she's searching for certainty. And when you give her that, not by what you say, but by how you hold your space, you become the emotional anchor she didn't know she was looking for. So the next time you sense her energy shift when another woman's name comes up, don't dismiss it, don't provoke it, observe it. Because in that small flicker of guarded emotion, she's showing you something real. Her care, her interest, her fear of losing something she hasn't fully claimed yet. And in that moment, she's not just reacting, she's revealing. When a woman genuinely likes you, she may not chase you in the traditional sense. She might not flood your phone with messages or blurt out her feelings, but she will initiate contact just in her own language. And if you're emotionally aware, you'll learn how to recognize it. Most men expect pursuit to look like direct effort, bold flirting, texting first, or asking to meet up. But many women, especially the emotionally intelligent ones, initiate with subtlety. They test the waters gently. Their approach is soft because it's not rooted in desperation. It's rooted in curiosity, connection, and emotional safety. And that makes it even more powerful if you know how to read between the lines. A woman who likes you might not say, "I want to see you," but she will send you something she saw that reminded her of you. She may comment on a story you posted, ask you a question out of the blue, or accidentally mention something you once talked about. It's not random. These are breadcrumbs of interest. And every breadcrumb is her subconscious saying, "I'm still here. Are you noticing?" Sometimes it shows up as consistent responsiveness. She replies quickly, remembers details, and finds excuses to continue conversations even when they've reached a natural end. Other times, she may ask for your opinion on things she could easily decide for herself. Why? Because it's not about the answer. It's about engagement. She's not reaching out because she needs something. She's doing it because she wants a reason to connect. And here's where masculine presence becomes essential. A man who is emotionally immature might overlook or dismiss these small efforts because they don't fit his idea of pursuit. But a grounded man sees it clearly. He doesn't need her to chase him like a man would. He recognizes that for many women, initiation isn't about dominance. It's about invitation. She's giving you access. She's inviting you to step close. And that's an act of trust. But you must understand this. If her subtle invitations are ignored, dismissed, or not received with warmth and presence, she will retreat, not in anger, but in self-protection. Because women don't initiate lightly when they truly like someone. It's emotionally risky. So when she sends that random message, when she shares that song, or when she asks how your day is going out of nowhere, see it for what it is, an emotional offering wrapped in modesty. Initiation, in her world, isn't about chasing. It's about nudging the door open just enough to see if you'll walk through. So if you find yourself wondering whether she's interested, don't look for declarations. Look for patterns. Look for moments where she makes the effort to include you in her world, even in small, quiet ways. Because when a woman begins to initiate on her terms, in her language, she's not just being polite, she's reaching out with intention. And your ability to recognize and respond to that makes all the difference between a missed connection and a relationship that could have changed everything. One of the most powerful, yet often overlooked signs that a woman likes you is this. She begins to make room for you in her world. And I'm not talking about dramatic moves or public declarations. No, this gesture is far more meaningful because it's quiet, intentional, and deeply personal. When a woman sees potential in you, when she feels emotionally safe and intrigued by your presence, she subtly rearranges her life to include you. That's not coincidence, that's conscious choice. Think about this for a moment. People don't make space for what they don't value. We make time for what matters. We prioritize what we emotionally invest in. And when a woman likes you, even before she says the words, her life will start to shift to accommodate your presence. You'll see it in how she adjusts her schedule to align with yours. Maybe she suggests a time to meet that fits your availability, even if it's a bit inconvenient for her. She begins to include you in her daily updates, sharing not just what's happening, but how it feels. She invites you into the rhythms of her day, subtly drawing you closer to her inner life. And often, this isn't done with romantic labels. It's simply a pattern of consistency, inclusion, and effort. She may start introducing you to elements of her world, her favorite cafe, her weekend routines, or even, gradually, her circle of friends. These invitations aren't casual, they're relational. She's saying, I see you fitting here. It means she's not just enjoying your presence in the moment, she's exploring the possibility of a shared future, whether spoken or not. Emotionally, she begins to invest. She remembers your preferences, checks in on things you care about, and begins to consider your perspective when making certain decisions. It might be subtle, like choosing a movie you once mentioned, or something deeper, like adjusting how she communicates based on your emotional needs. These aren't acts of obligation. They're signs of desire. She wants to make it easier for you to be part of her life because, in her heart, you already are. But here's where the responsibility shifts to you. When a woman makes space for you, how you respond determines whether that space expands or collapses. If you dismiss it, ignore it, or take it for granted, she will slowly close that emotional door again, not out of resentment, but out of self-respect. Because making space is an act of vulnerability, and women only keep open what feels emotionally safe. So pay attention. Look for the moments where she adjusts, includes, or shares with intention. These aren't just gestures of interest. They are signs of emotional alignment. And when you respond with presence, respect, and emotional clarity, you're not just accepting her invitation, you're honoring the depth of what it truly means. Because when a woman begins to make room for you, she's not just showing affection, she's offering possibility. And if you recognize it, nurture it, and match that energy, you don't just enter her world, you become a meaningful part of it.